All forms of street protest are hereby banned across all parts of the state.
I played from Kano, where the CP of Kano State Police Command basically has said that the protest in Kano is been banned outrightly. No one should protest in Kano. Just opposing that, just opposing that video that we have seen emanating from Kano, considering what happened yesterday in Abuja and the level of brutality used against those that came out to rally on all eyes on the judiciary, what do you think is happening? Where do you think we are headed to?
No, I think clearly that with what is happening across our country, it's a descent to dictatorship. It's a descent to impunity. It's a descent to responsible conduct by operators of state. The Chapter 2 of the Nigerian Constitution, Chapter 4 of the Nigerian Constitution, Sections 45, 44, and 43, if you like, fundamental provisions of the Constitution that addresses the liberties to disagree with government, this liberty to protest, the liberty to have peaceful assembly. And then tragically, if you like, those who superintend over the Nigerian state, who with some sense of hypocrisy are insisting on the return to democracy in Niger, are unwilling to allow the freedom and the liberties that is congruent with democracy and democratic rights. It's a major surprise. It is worrisome. For those who support this tendency for abridgment of democratic rights, I think it's some air of hypocrisy and sycophancy. I do sincerely believe that as we criticize the happenings, as we criticize what happened, particularly in Abuja today, as well as what the Commissioner of Police in Kano said, it's more like a dictatorship in the offing. It's more like a despot bearing his or her fangs. I remember I just listened to Professor when he said, Professor Nwaokobia, when he said that not even in the military, not under military rule, would we have this kind of impunity. And I say with all sense of respect, I was involved from the days of the June 12th agitation in progressively, proactively, and profoundly asking the leadership be responsible to the people. Some of us were detained under military rule, but I can't remember being beaten the way Citizen Bullos was beaten. I can't remember being harangued and harassed the way Chigozia, Oma, and others were harassed. And so I think that a desperate despot is bearing his fangs. I think that a desperate administration is unwilling to allow the freedom of protest. I think that a desperate administration is trying to overawe and threaten the Nigerian people, if you like. And so I disagree completely with this tendency. I disagree completely with this predilection to conflict and impunity. I disagree completely with the tendency of the Tinubu presidency to abridging the rights of the people to assemble, the tendency to abridging the rights of the people to protest, the tendency to abridging the rights of the people to demand that the judiciary does what is proper, right, and right. And so, along with well-meaning Nigerians and those who truly believe that the time has come for us to take our country on the path of rectitude, I repudiate and lampoon the actions of the Nigerian police, the DSS, and the military on the 20th of August, 2023. ditto denying the people the right to protest and to ask the judiciary to do what is proper.
Now, Prof, thank you very much for that. There is the school of thought. Many have argued, in WhatsApp groups and also on Twitter street. Many have actually argued that all eyes on judicial campaign is a bullying of the judiciary. Do you share that thought? That saying all eyes is bullying?
No, but it's absolutely untrue. Congruent with democratic rights is the freedom to express your opinion. Congruent with democratic rights is the freedom to ask the operators of state to do what is proper, right, and right. Congruent with democratic rights is the freedom to ask for rectitude. And so Nigerians are not saying the judiciary should give judgment in favor of Peter Gregory. They are not saying that the judiciary should give judgment against Bola Ahmed Tinubu. They're not saying that the judiciary should give judgment in favor of Atiku Abubakar. They're simply saying that the judiciary must do what is proper, right, and right. And so how does that overall, how does that bully the judiciary? All eyes on the judiciary is simply saying, we're looking at you, the Presidential Electoral Petition Tribunal. We're looking at the justices. We're looking at the judges. We're looking at every operator in the temple of justice who at this point is material to determining whether the rights of the people, whether the mandates of the people was stolen on the 25th of February 2023. And so simply saying, I got my eyes on you, how does it mean bullying you? How does it mean intimidating you? All it's simply saying is, I want you to do right. All it means is simply saying, everybody understands what is right in this context. And so we want you to do what is proper, what is right, what is tenable, what is just. The only people who feel threatened are those who do not believe in the need for this country to etch justice as a minimum on our collective canvas. The only people who are threatened and troubled are those who do not want a new republic and a new day. The only people who are troubled, who feel bullied, are those who love injustice. And let me say clearly that all eyes on the judiciary is a cliche that those who love justice believe in. It's a cliche that those who love injustice are bullied by. And so I think that clearly any well-meaning Nigerian, anybody who thinks that this country must move out of the nada to promise, anybody who wants a new day and a new deal, anybody who wants a new dawn and who wants a new republic where justice prevails will side with the call, will side with the emotions, will side with the prognosis, will side with the thought, will side with that hashtag, all eyes on the judiciary. We all want our judges to be upright. We want them to live in tandem with that insignia of mother justice, that blind, throated woman with a scale and a sword, saying, I must do right, saying, I must dispense justice without let or hindrance, saying, I must bring the rich or the poor equally before the scale of justice, saying, I must bring the powerful and the less powerful equally before the scale of justice, saying that the universe is just and bends towards the arc of justice. That's exactly what we're saying. We're saying that the time has come for those who pretend our judiciary to do what is proper, right, and right.
Thank you, Prof. Now, since this rally was dispersed yesterday, do you envisage where more people now, maybe angrier, are now coming out in larger number than what was expected yesterday to lend their voice to this act of barbarism, as so described?
Indeed, Nigerians are angry with the system, Nigerians dissatisfied with the happenings, Nigerians disappointed with the predilection of those who pretend over state to injustice and impunity, are determined, resolute, uncowed, and they believe that the time to take their destinies in their hands is now. Tragically, it was the words of the great Catholic President of the United States of America, that man called John F. Kennedy. Those words resonate. You remember how he said that those who make peaceful change impossible almost always make violent change inevitable. Unfortunately, we're gradually getting to that place in our historicity where Nigerians are about almost going to be forced to resort to self-help. I have followed the news across our country. I've followed the matter. As a matter of fact, Nigerians have given traction. Nigerians have trended their resentment against the events of the 20th of August 2023. Nigerians are simply saying that they are opposed to state operators abridging and denying, if you like, the people the rights and the freedom to protest. Nigerians are saying without equivocation that they must and will express and exercise those rights. Nigerians are saying determinedly and confidently that they will pursue their rights to insist on justice, and no other issue but justice will count. Nigerians are saying that they, together with the civil society, the Labour Party, the Labour movement, the progressives across bounds, across divides, and the obedient movement, that nothing but justice will do. And I believe that anybody who truly cares about our country will insist that the judiciary does what is proper, right, and right. And I repeat without equivocation that people are ready to step out of the street again and again. People are ready to insist on the judiciary doing what they must do, which is justice. People are insisting and saying without doubt that congruent with democratic rights is the transparency of the electoral process and the freedom of the people to insist on not only the electoral umpire doing what is right, but the judiciary doing what is opposite and right. And I believe that not even the site of a prison yard, nor the site of a cemetery, nor the chains of the jailer can stop the people from expressing their democratic rights.
Prof, those are profound words. Now that I still have you here, today, as you know, the APC president had his minister sworn in, and in that event today, or rather after the event, there was something that got tongues wagging, and that is this video by Nyesom Wike. As a resident of Abuja, are you worried? Listening to Wike make this statement. Let me play this quickly for you.
Those who are paying for refuse collection, what are they doing? So we must also sit down to look at differently ways of waste management or waste disposal. It is very, 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 very key.
Sorry, I think, hold on. There were two videos here. One was on the cow.
We'll consult with stakeholders indigents and residents, who will consult. Who will consult and talk to the herdsmen to see how we will stop. Because we cannot allow cows inside the city. That's the way it's supposed to be done. Because the grasses are outside the city. The grasses are not here. The grasses were planted to beautify the city. It is not that one that they will eat. The one that we eat is the ones in the area. So we'll make it, we'll discuss. It's important. I mean, that was the you are driving towards the fair. Take, for example, I see about 20, 30 cows goat. How if somebody
so this is one of the obviously the videos that were trending today, and there is one I quickly will need your response to. No, sorry. This hold on.
Those people who are distorting the master plan of Abuja, too bad, too bad. If you know you are guilty, you're not supposed to go down. You go down. Be a minister of anywhere, be an ambassador. You know you have developed where you're not supposed to develop. Your house must go what? Down.
Now, Prof, looking at a minister who was sworn in today, already saying that houses will go down, do you think he has taken the right approach to date?
Let me say clearly that there is nothing, absolutely nothing about Yesumezewo Wike that excites me. Absolutely nothing about his temperament, about his tendency, about his avowals that appeal to me. Governance is about pragmatism. A leader must be responsible and responsive. I don't know what he's about. I don't know why the arrogance. I don't know why his predilection to conflict and troublemaking. I think that he should first of all understand the temperament, understand the anatomy, understand the geophysics and the geopolitics of Abuja before sounding like a man who's high on drugs, before sounding like a man who's high on narcotics, before sounding like a man who's high on something. And I hope these are my views, and these are my candid thoughts. Maybe someone has told him that if he sounds like that, he'll be in a right standing to be able to rig the possible rerun in favor of his new puppet master, of his new puppeteer. But let me say clearly that he's in for a rude shock. Abuja is not River State. He's in for a rude shock. Nigerians are tired and Nigerians have seen all about him and all of him. At some point he sounded like a man who had some air of dignity, some sense of respect. Remember, at some point he said that he would never settle for the APC because it was like moving from someone who had a malaria to electing to have cancer. And so maybe he now has a cancer of the mouth. And I want to be quoted. Maybe something has finally gone wrong with him. So he thinks that he is a czar who must talk down on those who live in Abuja. But truly, truly, I think that he has a shock coming his way, because at the end of the day, he will eat his vomit. Abuja is not Rivers, and the obedience and those who live in Abuja are not as rascally and as irresponsible as he sounds.
So, but what if that is already, because if you piggyback, if you go back a little bit, one could actually make the argument that he was brought in for that, to settle some scores. maybe the one who hired him to do this job or to do this job for him, could it be that he's trying to settle some scores and the only person that can do it in that manner could be him?
Well, whatever scores they want to settle, I want to say clearly that the people are stronger than those who politic and play with power. That the power of the people indeed across historicity is stronger than the men in power. And clearly he will find what will become of him. He will meet his comeuppance. The arc of the moral universe is just and it bends towards justice. And I say clearly that Wike will meet his right recompense. Let him continue to say the things he's saying. Let him continue to threaten the innocent. Let Wike should continue to threaten the citizens and the residents of Abuja. He should continue to sound like John the Baptist without the moral preachings of John the Baptist. He should continue to sound like someone who cares for people he doesn't care for. I sure believe that the universe, the moral arc of the universe will prevail over his hypocrisy, sycophancy, and pretense.
Now, Prof, before I let you go, just in a minute here, we have the coup that happened in Niger, and ECOWAS is preparing seriously to go into that country. While ECOWAS is preparing, on the screen here are citizens being called to join the military in defense of their own motherland. Suddenly, it appears that Nigeria and ECOWAS are hell-bent on moving into a neighboring country. Having you here on this platform, I would want to know what you think about what is about to happen in Niger.
No, I don't think that any logical leader within the ECOWAS region, within West Africa, within the Sahel, support armed conflict or military invasion of Niger. No sane person will do that. And that suggests that those who are saying that they must go to war have a problem. And I'm saying that very politely, that those who are insisting on armed conflict have a problem, because clearly democracy is the government of the people, for the people, and by the people. If the people of Niger are excited about the removal of Bazoum, who are you in Nigeria, where you did not win a popular election, where you have a legitimacy crisis, to insist on democracy in Niger? I think it's absolute hypocrisy, it's absolute tummy rot, absolute fallacy, absolute deceit. You have to go back to the polls and ensure that you have credibility and legitimacy before you ask Nigerians to do right. Nigerians are in support of their present military ruler, and you have seen how the people on the streets are asking to be enlisted in the army to defend their country. And then across the West African sub-region, and I say with every sense of responsibility, that the countries that are saying that, they have to go to Niger and ensure that they restore Niger to democracy are predominantly those whose elections, what happened in Senegal, what happened in Côte d'Ivoire, what is happening in Sierra Leone, and the electoral malfeasance and larceny that took place in Nigeria. So these are people who are desirous to dance to the song of the West. It's about the puppet and the puppeteer. So what they want is please the West. So by going to war in Niger, so you can get some kind of credibility. But true credibility lies in the acceptance and acceptability of whoever the watchman is. Tinubu is someone who the majority of Nigerians are hesitant in calling Mr. President. It's difficult for a lot of people to call him Mr. President. For me, I see him as an impostor in Aso Rock, and that's the way it is with so many people. So you cannot truly say that you don't have the moral nexus and the moral latitude to insist on democracy in Niger. That's point number one. Point number two, Our brothers and sisters from the north have said no to war in Niger. And if you decide to overrule them, that makes you unpopular. Point number 3, and finally, I think that we must first of all defeat insurgency, the Boko Haram and the terrorist tendencies that are tyrannizing, traumatizing, and messing up our country before we go. You know, charity must begin at home. So I think that Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his fellow travelers on the path of infamy, Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his fellow travelers in a desperate legitimacy-seeking mission must realize that the time has come for leadership to be responsible and responsive, that the time has come for those who should pretend over nations in Africa, West Africa, and across the Sahel to listen to the voice of their people. Coups will not cease until leaders become responsible and responsive to the people.
Thank you very much, Prof. That's a very fine place to anchor this. If I let you go on, you know, you are a very vivacious one. So that we could stay here for an endless time, you know. But it's indeed a pleasure to have you here, Prof. Thank you very much for being my guest this evening. Thank you and good night.